What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the RePHIL studio. As always, let's refill to 99 like we always do with your cans because we are ready for our next set and welcoming our next set of special guests over. So I have the pleasure and honor to welcome Frost and Sinister to the RePHIL studio today. And just a brief intro for both of them. Frost has quite a few T10 plus titles, including first place, I believe, in the Raise the Curtains Pt.2 event, as well as very recently first place in the Little Rose Harmony event. Where Sinister, he has top 10, I believe, in the Have a Good Halloween event, and second place in the most recent Little Rose Harmony event. So both of you, thank you for taking the time to join the RePHIL studio today.
Thank you for having us, Phil. And thank you, Frost, for inviting me along with him.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us. Also, you guys are refilling to 99. I'm only refilling to 90.
Well, it's only the one and only set, so might as well fill to 99, right? Just to make things easier. Is there anything else you'd like to add to your intros for either of you? Is there anything I missed or anything you want to add?
I think you missed both of our from the past T10s as well.
Okay. Nice.
We both have. I have sixth place from the past top 10, and Frost has fourth place, right, Frost?
Yeah, I got the boat ticket for the podium.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll definitely talk about that, in a bit as well.
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to know more about my titles, you can see it in my Discord banner, actually.
Okay, for
sure.
I
have the guts to flex my titles in my Discord banner. What are you gonna do?
Nice. All right. Well, both of you again, thank you so much for joining. And to start things off in the podcast in the studio, we always ask our guests how they first got into Bang Dream Girls Band Party. It's always really cool to hear the origin story. So Frost, maybe we'll start with you. How did you first hear about Bang Dream, and how did you get right into it?
Actually, when I first heard of the game titled Bang Dream, I thought it was a pretty stupid name, to be honest. And though back then I've already been playing rhythm games and gacha games as well, but I haven't tried playing one that is both at the same time. So when I had this friend, I met this friend in a convention, and then I saw her post her gacha pool in SNS. Then I got curious, like, yo, what game is this? Then she mentioned it's Bang Dream. So I thought maybe I should give it a try. Then when I tried the game, then I found out that the controls isn't as confusing as other rhythm games. I used to play Love Live School Idol Festival. However, I didn't really like how the notes go in a circular pattern. Like if you've played Love Live, you know what I'm talking about. Like instead of having a straight line where the notes go down, it goes to the different directions, and it kind of messes up because I'm not used to that kind of rhythm game. I'm used to playing like Osomania or Auto Jam, where it's just notes falling down the screen. So Bang Dream was a really good game for me back then. So I got into it. Then I saw the covers. It has a lot of good anime covers, actually. Like I didn't expect like songs like Goren or Sobakasu and all the other anime covers. So that's how I really got into the game.
Yeah. And you make a very, very interesting point, Frost. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I really did not appreciate like the circular kind of motions of some rhythm games like Love Live. So Bang Dream was a lot more, in my sense, was also a lot more comforting as well to be like it's vertical.
It's simple and it's interesting at the same time, even though it has a simple layout.
Yeah, well, thanks to your friend. Shout out to your friend who helped you introduce you to Bang Dream. That's always nice to have. And Sinister, what about you? How did you get into Bang Dream?
Okay, so for me, a lot of people think I've been playing the game for a long time, but I only started last year. Last year, January, I started with Happy New Year Dreams, the Aqua banner, I think it was. I was an anime only fan for a long time. Actually, the first time I heard any Bang Dream song, my friend and me was setting up a YouTube playlist together, and he was really into Bang Dream at the time, and he actually started playing the game as soon as it was released as well. And he put Legendary from Rosalia on the playlist, and I really loved the song. And he was like, "Well, yeah, there's an anime for this. You should watch it." And I did. But I loved the anime all the way through to last year, and I really didn't want to get into gacha games because I really, really despise gacha in general, or loot boxing systems or anything like that. But I eventually caved, and I started playing. And yeah, that was where it started. It was that's pretty much how it started for me, though. Yeah.
So when you heard the song Legendary, you knew did you know it was an anime opening of like Vanguard, or like it was just just by chance?
Yeah, I knew it was COD Fight Vanguard. Well, I looked it up because I actually have a Excel spreadsheet where I keep track of the songs on my playlist. I'm very serious about my anime music playlist, by the way. And I put the animes as well next to it, and I found out it was from COD Fight Vanguard. But he told me the band that does that has their own anime, and that's how I found Bang Dream.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. I back in the day, I was also a little bit of like a anime like song junkie as well. Like I would kind of memorize what anime like the song would come from, even though I don't watch the anime per se. So it was like really funny to see. And yeah, I think I was like similar. I first heard about Rosalia through Card Fight Vanguard when they did the ending with Heroic Advent, but I never really connected the dots until much later when I already got into Bang Dream. So that was it's pretty cool. So yeah, honestly, both of you, great fun origin stories to hear. Very different, but regardless, we're all here playing this game. A really fun game. Now, getting into Bang Dream, you also have to have like a sort of affiliation or a like towards like a particular aspect or of the franchise. And Sinister, I don't know if right away you knew that your favorite character was going to be Roka. And maybe talk a little bit more about that. Like, was that always like your favorite at the start, or did like your favorite character or favorite band change from when you first started?
My favorite for a while was definitely Kasumi. But obviously, then Kasumi's fangirl came along, and that's when I really found the person who I liked.
Yep. And you know what exactly? Because I know you've tiered a lot of Roka events. So what exactly about Roka did you find like so appealing and such?
I feel like our personalities is very similar. I also like to support people a lot. I also, when I was in school, I used to take my bass guitar with me every day to school, and every day during lunch, instead of I would like just quickly eat and then pick up my guitar and practice for literally even off periods, go to the music room, still practice bass guitar. So I just find some of the episode where she kept on repeating Exposed Burnout like in a room like over and over again. I really related to that part.
Oh, wow, that's very neat for sure. Good. Well, that's cool. And I know, again, both of you ended up tiering RAS events together, which is really cool. Frost, what about you? How did you, I imagine your favorite band wasn't RAS at the start because they didn't exist. But how did that change? Like, maybe, how did you first, what was your favorite band or character at the start? And how that eventually turned into becoming a big RAS fan like you are right now?
Okay. So initially, my favorite band was Afterglow. Because I'm into rock songs, and the only choices I have would be either Rosalia or Afterglow. Then I read the band stories, and I could kind of more of relate to Afterglow stories, which is just childhood friends hanging around each other and vibing with each other. As long as they can produce their music, they're fine with whatever happens. It's Umodori. So that's why I really like Afterglow back then. Also, my favorite cover back then was sung by Ayane Sakura, which is Azunayozora Shokayan. I don't know, there's just something about that song that really gets me when I listen to it back then. So I've been a huge AG fan back then. I think people from Popcord would attest how huge of an AG fan I was back then. Like, I had ran PFP, and I would most likely only tier AG events back then. Then some time passed. I got burnt out. Well, not really burnt out. Well, I've been on and off with Bandori over the years. So after my first high tiering experience, I got kind of tired of the game because I felt like I don't have anything to do anymore. I got this title, and so and so. Like, what else am I supposed to do? So I kind of left the game and focused on other gacha games in the meantime. Until I watched the anime season 3, which was highly focused on RAS. So I don't know. I felt like during these years I also had kind of shifted up. Also kind of had a shift in my personality wherein at first I'm fine with the childhood friends just, vibing with each other like that. Then there came a time where I don't know, I really like the vibe of Grass as a band. Like they are this very talented individuals uh assembled by this leader who personally do not have the skills that is needed to do her own goals. So I don't know. There's just something about this group of really cool and talented people that drew me in. So I got interested in the band. Then I got to watch their live shows. If you've seen any RAS live shows, you'll understand when I say that their live shows are really crazy. All the band members are really wild, especially when they do their introductions, their solos, everything everything about their live show is wild.
Yeah, I
And
agree
I really
with them on the live shows.
yeah.
I'm a big fan of Russ's live shows. That's one of the big parts of Russ that gets me as well.
I don't know. It feels really. It's like it's the vibe that I'm looking for when I watch for a live show personally. Because I'm not really big into the idol stuff. Yeah, I like the hype, wild, and that kind of energy when I'm watching a live show. So all of these stuff piled together, then I got into thinking, I'm I am a RAS fan now. I'm gonna get back to the game, and I remember back then, and I decided to get back to the game. RAS is still not yet on Yen server, so I thought it's a good time to save and prepare for RAS events. So I got back during BSP3, then started consistently tiering T1K and above since that point until today.
Wow, that's what a great way to get kind of get back into the game, RAS, sort of like refueled your passion for the series. And I do agree the live performances are definitely one of their best selling points. I don't know if either of you seen them like physically live. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
That's one of my goals someday, to watch it like live.
For sure. Oh, hopefully they'll come. Again, we're all like different parts around the world, so maybe they'll visit your area in the future. So
I doubt.
I doubt South Africa. Yeah, no, not here.
Well, you never know, guys. You never know. So, or you could obviously do a little bit of shilling, IRL shilling to see them in a different country, but. Regardless, that's hopefully that's something that I hope for the both of you to be able to check off on your list to see them live in person. That would be a huge thing for sure. So
I flew all the way to the UK for Alter Bridge. I'll do it for us or Poppy.
Yeah, that's good. That's good for sure. So Frost, you've briefly mentioned this already. So I want maybe you could expand a little bit more on it, getting into tiering for the first time, because you mentioned after you did your first high tiering experience, it was a bit difficult for you to get back into the game. But maybe even before that, how did you first get into tiering? Because obviously tiering is a very niche kind of activity to do in Bang Dream. So how did you first get into tiering, and what was that first experience like?
Okay, so when I first played the game, of course, like everyone was, I am super casual about it. Like I didn't even care whatever title. If I don't even get the title most of the events, like I just get the 3 stars and call it a day. Then since I was an AG fan, the first AG event back then was 6 Afterglow. Then I thought to myself, I'm gonna try quote unquote tiering for once. Then I ended up with top 5,000 title, and back then I was really proud of that top 5,000. So I stopped playing. Like I started playing casually again after that. Then the first versus live event was announced, which is the cooking class craziness, and it had Chugu in the event banner. As an AG fan, I thought maybe I'll try to play the game again and get some titles. And after spending some cans, I eventually managed to get into top 1,000. Then I thought after that, I can do this. I can do this regularly. Maybe I can do this for all events that had AG character in the banner. So since I had this goal, I wanted to optimize it. So I went to the internet to look for tips and what to do to maximize your gains or whatever. Then I got into Reddit, to the Reddit page of Bandori, and I saw a Discord server, which is the official Discord server now. So I joined the server and found, through that server, I found a compilation of meta songs. And then the best thing that I discovered back then is discovering Bandori, the team building tool. So when I got that link, I'm like, bro, doing T1K is so achievable now because my team is being optimized automatically by Bandori website, so I don't need to do a lot of thinking. And from then on, I managed to do successive T1000. So the next goal I had was to do a top 100. So I have saved some cans and stars to prepare for my first top 100, and I thought it would be harder than it was. And my first event was Azure Shine Bright. Then from then on, I decided every run banner I will go for top 100 and above. So the first event that really pushed my limit at first was Persona top 100, because it was the first competitive event that I had. Like, it's not really the podium or top 10 level competitive, but as going from casual top 1K to a competitive top 100 was kind of a huge jump. Like, I wasn't used to grinding the same songs for several number of hours just to maintain my rank. At the same time, it's a seal event, so there's an extra stress of not knowing whether people are hoarding CPs or whether they've already used it, and something like that. So CL is kind of a mind game to tier.
Yeah.
Then, yeah. So I think I'm going too long.
no worries. So again, just to kind of conclude on that, but you were able to get the Persona title, though, right? It was difficult, but you were able to get it.
And then I decided, since my goal, I have achieved a competitive T100. So naturally, the next goal is to go for a top 10 and above, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So at that point, I thought, I'm gonna need people to room with me. So I made a tiering group specific to AG Afterglow tiers back then. So I guess that's the point where I transitioned from casual tiering to competitive tiering.
And I imagine when you made that group, you already had a few people you kind of remembered from tiering with other people, probably in PubCourt, and you probably like invited them into over.
Yeah. Since this is after Persona, I managed to talk with other people who share the same love for AG back then. So I talked to them, hey, I'm making a tiering group for Afterglow events, wanna join? And back then, tiering groups aren't really event specific.
Yeah.
like you would have tiering groups for multiple events, like SSM. I don't know, I forgot the
like
other
A and
tiering
I,
groups.
right? Like a lot of different ones. Yeah.
Yeah, uh, yeah. So I made one for AG, and eventually this our server merged with, if you know Bugs.
Yes. Yes,
So
I
there
remember
used to
it
be
was
a beef
mentioned before in a
between
previous podcast.
yeah, there used to be a beef between my server and Bugs back then. Bugs was created kind of like to spite me because its name standard for better afterglow server. Mine was the afterglow server, then they have the better afterglow server. Eventually we merged because I was getting tired of the game and I need the people in my community to join another one so that they have people to play with. So we have decided to merge, and there. That's how the current bugs came to be.
Well, that's a pretty funny origin story. I think I heard I forgot for who was it, but someone mentioned creating creating the better afterglow server. I'm mentioning that, so that was pretty funny to see how we could sort of connect the dots here. So. But yeah, honestly, Frost, that's a really good amount of experience that you got. Like, just starting from like a casual perspective, and then just suddenly, coming in, and look at you now, right? So
the thing is, I haven't even gotten into the point where I actually tried my first T10 plus run.
Well, we'll talk about that very shortly. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that very shortly. Because I know both of you have some pretty amazing top 10s that you want to share. I'm going to quickly transition over to Sinister real quick before we do that. Because Sinister, okay. I think your perspective is very different because, you hear Frost's perspective being like a boomer, like Bang Dream player, and you are much more newer into the game. So when you first got into the game yourself, Sinister, how did you get into tiering, and how did that, I guess, perspective start for you?
Okay, so to start off, I was in PubCord before I even started playing the game because I was discussing anime with people. I was really into anime, by the way. So okay. I was in there, but I never went into the Bandori chat. I was never in there. I was always talking with about anime and stuff, right? Okay, so I tried to play a few tournament events by my own, but it was very bad. Looking back, I just used like the in-game auto team thing most of the time. Very bad. Most of the time, just like top 10Ks, or I think the best one I got at some stage was T25K, and I went into PubCord to like brag a bit and think, oh, this is great. This is the first time I've ever had this. And at the time, Lang was because Lang was one of the first people, shout out to Lang, who who actually got me to do things properly. They told me to use Bandori and link the good video in PubCord and whatever. And I set up my Bandori team and I actually got T1K for my texture, my design. So that was my first actual attempt at doing like a proper thing. And that event was very important to me because photography is one of my favorite hobbies. So yeah, that was one of my first events. So I got that, but then I think a few events after that, it would have been full swing Hello Happy Softball. And Lang was like, oh, but I'm going to try and T100 flameless that because I've never tried it and I want to see if I can do it. But you should come and match titles with me. And I was like, I just started this game not too long ago. What do you mean come and play Hello Happy Softball T100 with you? I just got my first T1K. What are you talking about? And she was like, no, it's fine. Okay, so time goes by. The night before, and I told her in PubCord, I'll do it, right? The night before, I'm like, okay, so what's happening? I didn't know, by the way, tiering servers is a thing up until the night before the event started. And she's like, oh, you're not on the tiering server. I'm like, no, what's a tiering server?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And she sent me a link and I joined. I'm like, okay. It's like, I think, probably 2 hours or 3 hours before the event starts. I quickly read some rules and I'm like, okay, I guess this is how things are done. Then I show people my team and they're like, this is a trash team. It was like 2 stars and stuff. And I was like, okay, this is a problem. So I ended up T100ing that event with extremely bad. Well, I took 4-star cards just to like not make people in the room angry because at that stage, I was like, I'm new here.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the 2 stars, people have told me to use the 2 stars and they'll be better, I'm like, no, I'm just going to use whatever this other band, something. I can't even remember what my team was. I should probably have a screenshot of it somewhere, but it was not great for my EP. It was probably good for the room. And that's probably one of the first times ever where I started feeling like a mad person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was my first tiering server experience, at least.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And again, you could definitely see, right, to our listeners out there, how different everything started. Like when you first started getting to the game, when it first came out, right, it was mostly like pub core, a little bit of small like tiering clans here and there. But then like newer players, when they got into tiering, it was all about the tiering servers that were already kind of being established and built. And Sinister, you joined one of those. And I imagine, again, although it took a bit of time to learn the rules, or like, the quote unquote rules on how to move things efficiently, I'm sure you had a pretty good time in that first tiering server.
So I just also want to say I'm very sorry to the people. I can't remember who I roomed with on event start, because I actually I don't know, I should have probably just sticked around and first see how people doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I immediately jumped into a room on event start and immediately trolled people in the lobby, and I'm very sorry for that. But luckily, as you yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So as you've heard before on your podcast with Blair and Sprite, people have had a very good experience with that server, and people luckily didn't take too harshly to me being really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a really great starting server, I would say. I think most people that I've heard from really enjoyed that server. So
exactly. And again, it is nerve-wracking, or a little bit, it's different when you're joining a tiering server. Kind of have to understand the rules, but again, especially for those who are new, generally people are quite accommodating, trying to make sure everyone knows what they're doing before they start. And of course, if there's any mistakes, or if you need like any tips, that people are always there to encourage. It's great to see that, Sinister, that you were able to get that encouragement, even right off the bat, despite, as you mentioned, making a slight boo-boo at the beginning. Yeah. Good. So, again, thank you to both of you for sharing like a bit about how you first got into tiering. Now, of course, I imagine the parts that you want to talk about the most, and the ones that you're most passionate about, is your high rank tiering. So we're going to take the time to talk about that and have you two share your stories on that. Frost, again, going back to you, you wanted to talk a little bit more about your first T10. I also might want to add a few more myself about like some particular titles personally, but why don't you first start things off of like talking about how you first got your first like T10 title, which is obviously much bigger than a T100. So how did that all start?
Okay, so first, before I forget, just one thing I noted that is pretty interesting. When Sini started doing T1K during my own texture, I think that's the event that I reinstalled the game.
Oh!
That's the event where I just finished the anime. I don't know. It's just interesting that...
Well, what a coincidence, eh?
Yeah. Okay, so going back to my first T10 Plus experience. So, as I've mentioned before, I was on and off with the game. Then, when I got back, I think I I keep on reinstalling the game. I reinstalled the game back. Then, during AG's second band story, Tsunago Suramoyu. So, I reinstalled the game, then... Because before I got burnt out from the game, before I uninstalled, I was already planning to go for a podium for Tsunago with Soft Goat. I don't know if he's the current T1 holder of the Tsunago Suramoyu, and with Wisp. However, things didn't go as planned. I think there was some tiering drama during one of the events, and Wisp retired after that event. And I was burnt out, so I didn't get to play the event at all. Well, I did play the event enough to get top 10,000 title.
Oh,
so
no.
Softgoat went for the top one. I was actually memeing it because I after getting back to the game, I roomed with Tan. So he's the top 2 holder, and I was like, this is expectation. This is reality. Mine is the top 10,000, the reality. So yeah. So when I got back then, I was thinking, I want an event where I can just play however I want, as much as I want. I want to go as high as I can. So I was looking at the next few events which involved RAN, because I'm still an EG fan back then. So the only RAN banner that JP had, like the only one, was the cycling seasons event. This is the RAN with glasses event. So after this event, there's literally no RAN event for a long time. So I had to clear that event. So I went around, tried to contact people on who might be interested in clearing the event, and eventually I got I was able to contact Michaela. So Michaela was someone who was also in the tiering group that I have mentioned, the AG server that I have made. So we have talked before, and unfortunately, she's running with another T1 runner, which is Eugene. So back then, I didn't really want to compete that much. At the same time, Eugene didn't really want to really compete, like compete. So we have decided that to make things fun, maybe we should do an internal competition. So we have agreed that either me or Eugene will get top 1 and top 2, then Michaela will get the top 3, and we announce it to everyone that, hey guys, we're gonna tier this event. We first announced it in bags because, if there are AG fans who would like to tier the event, most likely it will come from the AG server. So we've announced it in the server that, okay, so the 3 of us are going for podium and like that. So this was planned like a few months before, because the event was in April, scheduled in April, and we've planned to tier the event like around, let's say, 6 months before. So around, I guess, September, October, we've already planned this out. We're trying to recruit people, we made the server, stuff like that. The preparations for a podium run. So back then, I'm not really inclined to spend much on the game, because I don't know, I don't really like whaling that much.
Fair.
So my funds were limited. So I need to control my gacha spendings. And for all gambling addicts out there, you know how hard it is to control your gacha urges. So especially on a limited banner.
Yep.
So Christmas comes. It's the limited AG Christmas banner, the baby afterglow. I told myself, okay, I'll only allow myself like maybe 10 pulls, maybe, and see what I get. I got Mocha within the 30 pulls.
Wow.
Then back then I had Persona Ran, Joker Ran, Persona Himari. I forgot the event. BITR. What's BITR? The Kokoro Tomoe event.
Yeah. Beating in the rain. Yep.
Beating in the rain. Yeah. That event. And then I also had the Mocha, which I said. So I had 4 over 5 of optimal team, and I played the song, and I was like near the top 10 border in the song rankings. The song was Rumbling Memory. So I thought to myself, maybe I can change the result. Maybe I can do a bit more 10 pulls. Maybe I can get Tsugumi. Yeah. So I pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled, and pulled until I almost run out of my saving of those stars that I have saved for the past few months. It came to a point where I was able to switch devices, because I have depleted all my stars in the account. So I went from Android to iPad at that point.
Oh no.
And then Black Friday comes. I buy all the packs again. Then I tried pulling again for 2. Then on one daily, one daily pool. She suddenly appeared. Then suddenly I have optimal team. Then I tried playing the rumbling. I tried spamming rumbling member again and again. And I don't know anything about song optimizations.
Mm-hmm.
So for those few gorillas out there, you know what song optimization is. This is like tapping the notes like a few frames earlier or later than it is intended, so that it will fit more notes within the skill window.
Mm-hmm.
So I know nothing about that. However, there is this part in rumbling memory, I think the last note, wherein I don't know, the pattern just seems really jank to me, that I usually grade that one skill note. I think that's what helped me beat the AP score, I think. I'm not sure really. But I was able to perform an accidental ops on my run and managed to secure a top 3 song title.
Wow.
So it was my first song title ever. And I've never had a T100 song title, no T10 title, and that was my first one. That's also the reason why I'm really inclined to pull for Tsugu, because I've never had a song title before, and I would really like to have at least one, and it might be a T10 title as well. And coincidentally, Rumbling Memory is a fairly easy song since it's a 23, and I thought that's the only chance I would have at a T10 song.
Well,
So
some
since
sacrifices were made. Some sacrifices and your gacha funds were made, but
my funds for cycling seasons just to get the podium Rumbling Memory. So after getting the song title, I went to Eugene and Michaela and I said, we might need to change some plans here. I'll probably have to drop my initial parking goal. I'm gonna settle for podium. I'm gonna settle for third now. I don't want to compete anymore. So the event comes, and it's my first ever tiering experience. Like, it was the first time I've tried playing for longer than 10, 12 hours. Like that. Our initial run lasted for like 20 hours back then. So I wasn't really used to playing that hard. So there are times where I would just hallucinate and see some random lines in my vision, and my hands are just moving according to the colors that it sees in the screen, stuff like that. And yeah, it was a really tiring experience. Especially, it's like I mentioned before, Challenge Live is more of a mind game event wherein you don't know how much actual EP everyone has unless you have someone tracking for you. Like in our case, we had IPN back then, and he's the MVP, man. He was able to track all the CP of the other runners, and was able to assure me like, yo, you're safe. There's no need to worry. You can relax, you can rest, you can sleep peacefully, stuff like that. So that's really important when you're planning to tier a CL event. Like, have someone who knows how to track CP. It will really alleviate some of the stress, I believe. So yeah. So back then, yeah, it was also, I think, since this was my first time high tiering, I am really stressed and I really want to get the title. And this is the event where we had a really good sniper. We had Tsai. I think Tsai was in your podcast before. Tsai,
yes, that's right.
Yeah. So he was really, I think he was new to the tiering scene, didn't know anything about the servers. He tried joining our server, but based on the rules wherein the T10 roster is reserved for the ones who came first, we had to kick him out of the server. So my friends are kind of helping him out because I don't know, they feel like he was unjustly kicked from the server, stuff like that. So some of my friends are trying to help him out, and I'm getting just like, bro, what are you doing? Why are you helping the person that's trying to snipe my spot? Like, this is a time where I almost burned bridges just because of a freaking PNG. And I don't know. Looking back, I feel like it's a very stupid thing to do. Like, your relationships aren't worth the title. For me,
that's so anti you as well. Sorry for chipping in here.
Yeah.
That's so not you as well. Sorry for tipping in there. looking at how you snipe people now. Hello. We'll get to that later.
But yeah, back then, that was my mentality. The most important thing to me back then was getting that podium, securing that podium title. That I don't know. It's kind of a stupid thing looking back now. So yeah, eventually, fortunately, I was able to manage to. I was able to get and secure the top 3 title, and fortunately, I am still friends with my friends, even though we had some trouble issues, sort of issues. I was able to mend those relationships. So that was my first high tiering experience, and after that, I felt like I don't want to do anything. I had a podium song. I had a podium event title. What else do I want to do?
Yeah.
It's simple. I thought that it was impossible for me to aim for top 1 back then because I don't know, for some reason I thought it was impossible. So the only thing that interested me was griefing pubs. And I got banned from.
Wait, that's so toxic. What the heck? What a Joker era right there. What is going on there, Frost?
I think you would remember the. I don't know if you would remember the name Pub Villain, but people would meme that a lot.
Wow.
I think a pub code rule was made because of that. Like they would strike people who would use the name and grief pubs because some people are following the lead of griefing pubs.
Come on, Frost. What are you doing?
I would wear 1-star center on Grand Room, and then I would drop fever and pick like teardrops or something, like stuff like that, because I don't know, it's just the only thing that kept the game interesting for me. Then eventually I had to drop that and drop the game as a whole because I found other things more interesting.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Well, again, you mentioned throughout that part, that journey, again, it with tiering, the heads could get pretty hot, and it's a competition, and there's a lot of emotions going on. But it's good that at the end of the day, you're able to get your title that you wanted, and also be able to still maintain the friendships you had before, despite the competition and such. So. That's very good to hear. And Frost, we're gonna talk about some other achievements, I guess, that you achieved with Sini soon. But as a personal thing, I just want to briefly ask you, just very briefly, because you in your story you mentioned how IPN was helping you with kind of calculating challenge live points and such, and making sure that everything's good to go there. But that, as you know, was not the only time he helped you get a title in a challenge live with Days and Topping and Fun. Can you briefly tell me a little bit more about how you decided to go for that?
Okay, so Topping Days was one of the events during my hiatus period. Like I literally didn't play any event before or after that event. Like I just played that event for some reason. Like why did I decide to trade that? I think there were people telling there were discussions going around in the servers. I mean, like they're saying that this T10 is very snipeable, something like that. And I was joking. I jokingly said like, what if I snipe this? What if I do this? Then these people went like, yo, go ahead, snipe, we'll help you, go. Then word came around that I'm trying to snipe. Then IPN reached out to me and DM me like, yo, are you also trying to snipe? Yeah. Are you also sniping? Yes. Let's go team up, let's go room. Then we would plan our games ahead. Like we would watch the T10 move. Like if they move, okay, let's move. But if the T10 sub, okay, let's move slower so that they won't notice that we're trying to snipe. Stuff like that. Then we kept on hoarding CPs while IPN is calculating. Okay, they have less CPs than us, so we should be good. So let's burn all our CPs during this time, so they won't have time to react. Then that's what we did. Like on the very last day, all the CPs that we have, we also tried to fake park back then. Like, let's try fake parking so that they would think that we're already done. So more chance that they would not move. Okay, so I parked at like I think 4 stuff like that. Then IPN parked like 4:26:9 something like that.
Mhm.
Then at the last 13 hours of the event, like okay, time to burn, wake up, time to burn. And the last 13 hours was like 11, starting from 11, going from 11 p.m. for me
Mhm.
to like 3 p.m. Wait, was it 13? I can't count. Maybe more than 13. Maybe more than 13 hours. But yeah, I started like 11 p.m. going from 11 p.m. just spamming Little Busters because that's a CL song from
I hate
playing
it.
Little Buster from 11 p.m. up until like 11 a.m. until we have already calculated that okay, even if they burn multi-live and burn CP, they won't catch up to us. Time to sleep.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so that's what they did. And the fun thing back then is that I have to go to work on the same day.
Mhm.
So I have to wake up at like 3 p.m. because I have to do my office stuff.
Oh boy!
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
boy!
That was a fun sniping experience.
It was really cool to see Frost because I was actually a part of the server. I was part of the server who was kind of like doing the event. And the roster, and just to give you a bit of context, the roster actually was not full at all. But then there were some people who were in the server and were, they were playing, right? They were playing and they were burning CP and they were in T10 and they kind of had some like thoughts of, oh, maybe this is doable. But like, clearly it wasn't very doable. Like, I was like the person that was like looking at who could possibly like enter the T10. So I noticed you. I noticed IPN as well. And I'm like, yeah, it looks like they're probably going to snipe. But then like you never know, right? You never know how it will go. So, the T10 who kind of joined in super late last minute, I'm like, okay, well, how much CP do you have? One person was like, I have about like 5,000 CP. It's like, not good on the last day. And then the other person had none. I'm just like, okay, this might be really difficult for you two. And then the moment I saw you two like initial like Noom, I actually saw that immediately, and I told them you got to play like right now. And they're just like, yeah, we don't have resources. I think we'll just take the L here. Although one person did actually had almost enough resources, but there was a third person that sniped.
I remember this.
Yeah,
like. There was also another one who sniped like on the very last hour. Like if you check the best Dory graph, you would see that there's like a tiny dot on the top 10, and that's the person who sniped
literally last hour. It was the last hour. It was devastating for that one guy because he joined like super late and like joined the rosters like halfway through and was like, okay, I'm gonna try, and then he just ran out last minute. It was devastating for him, but for the two of you, Frost and IPN, I know that
Though I think that one guy was able to redeem himself in one of the recent
events. He did.
He got the podium in open school.
Yeah, he got third in open school. Yeah. So he was able to redeem himself, but yeah, that was tough. That was tough. I remember him after getting Bodhi, he's like, I'm done, like I'm retiring. And it's good that he was able to redeem himself and be like, okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. So yeah. But again, it was really interesting and funny to see you two because we always like kind of knew that you two were up to some funny business, but it's not like we could really do too much about it. And I remember IPN on Pubcord, he's like, wow, like Phil was supposed to track like the snipers. He was supposed to track us, but like I don't think he did a good job. I'm like, well, I mean, I tried my best, but there was not much I could really do when they didn't have resources,
Yeah, and IPN was also doing a great job on tracking everyone's CP in general.
So huge shout outs to him. So that was really fun. That was just like a personal thing I wanted to see here in your perspective. But it's really cool to see that regardless, you're able to kind of snatch that title that definitely was pretty obtainable. So good research. And that's what's good. Good friends, good research, right? So yeah. Good.
And also the experience of IPN really helped.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just like giving you that guidance, and he's a veteran guy. So
yeah, if I was just the only one going for it, I would just have played like since day one. I wouldn't even try hiding. I'll just unga bunga play all the way, stuff like that.
Yeah. Challenge lives are very difficult, but Sinister, I know you've been kind of sitting there for a while. Let's talk about your side, because you tiered another very interesting event coming in, which was Have a Good Halloween, which was a very peculiar event because of various circumstances about the game. But tell me a little bit more about how you got into wanting to tier for that event, and how did that experience go?
So, well, first of all, as I said, I haven't been playing the game for very long.
Yeah.
So I had joined the the Halloween Rookoween server with no intention of going for top 10, but I was definitely going to go for top 100, right? I was going to spend all my stars, doesn't matter how much. If I needed to spark, I would spark the card, and I was going to T100. That was my original plans, right? But then I was playing and filling a lot during the Hello Happy Summer event, and I was in the server as well. And people were like, "You've played so much, so T100." I was like, "No, I didn't spend a single resource this event because I'm saving everything for Rookoween." And everyone was like, "Okay, are you top 10ing?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just top 100ing and I'm going to spend everything on gacha because I hate gacha and I want to make sure I get my card." And then everyone, Vladimir, Lemon, Eric, Lang, and a bunch of people in that server was like, "No, you should go right now and ask for a place on the roster." I was like, "I've never done this before. What you talking about? Who do I ask? What do I do?" Like, no, go and ask. Who was that? I asked again. It was Bell. Yes, Bell with there's many Bells. The one with the Japanese symbols in it. And I asked, and it took a while, but they eventually came back to me and they said I can have a spot. So that was great. But I did not know how to T10 at all. So the event came, and when they said it was extended, I took off from work, so I kind of wasn't too worried about time. But I was definitely worried if I could do like long-term tiering. So for a bit of background information, if people probably already know because I always complain about this in servers. But I had a bike accident a few years ago, and I had an operation on my left hand. So after a few hours, my left hand does not vibe with long hours on tiering. So I normally have some anti-inflammatories here, and then I try to vibe further. And I've also learned to switch between thumb and index, which helps a lot. But when that event came, I didn't know any of that. I didn't have any anti-inflammatories, and I was only playing thumb. I'm mostly a thumb player. And in this case, halfway through, I had to stop, and the total was like, are you going to be able to like play this event further? And I'm like, I don't know. And I just went to take a shower, cried a little bit, and then came back like, okay, you know what? I've just made up my mind in the shower. I'm going to try index.
Oh boy. But like, again, like that's a pretty big decision to suddenly go from like a T100 to T10, right? So, was that initial, like, I imagine again, initial grind was pretty taxing, not only you mentioned physically, but mentally as well, right?
Yeah, I think when I got a really good lead, for some reason, because I heard so much about Homie, right? And when I saw Homie come up the rankings and like pass everyone below me, because I the first few days I grinded very hard. I think I got up to like I was on 3rd spot for a while, and I saw Homie coming up, and then I started bolting because I thought, what if other snipers come as well? Because like the event has been extended, and I definitely know Homie has got way more experience than me. So I started bolting when I saw him coming up. But then my hand started hurting again, and it was terrible times. But then eventually I saw him like calming down. I was like, okay, I think I'm fine now. I secured like a 2 million lead or something. I don't think it would be too much of a problem.
Yeah. And also, again, from what I've heard in that event, most people kind of like it's like a gentleman agreement that like, for the second half of that extended event. So again, for Have a Good Halloween, it was supposed to be a 6-day event, but extended it to 12 days because of issues with an update. And that kind of started the whole Bandori kind of shenanigans with the scheduling and such. But from what I've heard, I remember like sort of like the latter 6 days that were added, not a lot of people really played. They just kind of like chilled. And I think it all kind of worked out in the end, though. So I'm not sure if that's like how you felt as well.
Yeah, I at some stage realized that people weren't playing anymore.
Yeah.
And I really dislike sitting in because I already booked leave, right? And
Yeah.
I wasn't like I didn't when I heard the event was extended. I'm like one of those people who never take off work ever. I have like 20 days leave almost at any single time that you can ask me, right? And I told my manager, please can I have more days off? Like I just straight up said, I can't just do these amounts of days. I know I asked for this, but I need more. And I told them straight up I'm doing a tournament. Like they know about Bang Dream, and I would come from a League of Legends competitive esports background as well. So I've taken leave before for competitive gaming. So they know by now if I ask, that's most of the time when I ask for leave. So most of the event, when I realized people weren't playing anymore, I kept doormatting for T100 people.
I remember this, like me, Co-op, and Cess were like trying for flame to see one another, and the T10 runner will just fill for us.
Yeah, so the most of the last few days, I was just filling until I've figured out what park I wanted to do. My first park ever. Sorry to Crump and Riley who had to endure that. I've disconnected many times via live parking.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool, Sinister. Just see like someone who like, again, someone who relatively recently got into the game and get a T10 title just like that. I think for a lot of our listeners out there who are maybe new to the game, that's pretty inspirational, especially with all the obstacles that you had to go through, but you were able to do it. So big props to you. And of course, it just shows how much of a big Roka fan you are and how much that you wanted to do it for her. So yeah.
I actually at some stage wanted to try and see if I can get T3, but there was a little bit of miscommunication in the T10 chat. And I said if because T3 two people dropped, and T3 was pretty much T2 was already taken, but T3 was pretty much open at that stage. But Emmy joined like a few days before the event started, and I think they gave the T3 to her, but they didn't officially like say and announce that it was hers. So I said like if I can like get Roka very early on, I'm gonna try and go for T3. And I got to, and like I said, my initial sprint, I went all the way up to third, and then kind of went into a little bit of a breakdown because of my hand, and then recovered. But yeah, that's how that went.
Okay. Well, again, this just shows once more, right? Just even with someone with a fresh account, not necessarily the best resources out there, you're able to do what you can. So, yeah, big props to you, Sini, on that. That's a really, really cool story. Hey, everyone. It's Phil here. Hope you're enjoying the episode so far. As a reminder, the RePHIL Studio is available on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And feel free to subscribe to your favorite platform so that you're up to date with all of the weekly episodes. And if you really enjoy it, feel free to leave a comment and give a high rating on any of the platforms you use. All that support is greatly appreciated. If you really want to support my content and the RePHIL Studio, consider joining the Filler Nation by either subscribing to my Twitch channel or by joining the Patreon. Links in the description below. Any support is greatly appreciated. And again, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to all the Filler Nation members who've been constantly supporting me, and you'll be featured in this video every time. So definitely check it out if you are interested. And for our Filler Nation members, again, I greatly appreciate your support. We have a channel, the RePHIL Academy VODs channel, where there'll be VODs of my streams as well as possible other side projects on the side. So check out the card above if you'd like to subscribe and check out other content that I may be doing in the future. And of course, feel free to join the Anga Academy Discord server, links in the description below, so that you could be up to date with the live recordings of the RePHIL Studio podcast, as well as contribute to the studio question that happens in every episode. So check it out, and thank you all so much for the support. The RePHIL Studio episode will resume shortly. And Frost, you already kind of mentioned earlier, like about how Sini, like it's really interesting how like a T10 was filling for like T100s, which is usually it's backwards, but I'm guessing that's how you two kind of first knew each other a little bit. That's kind of like how it all started, or was it mostly when the two of you started tiering from the past together that you really got to like know each other and such?
No, it actually started with Rust Part 2.
Part 2, yeah.
Yeah. So I was in a RustPod 2 server, but I can't remember exactly what conversation brought me here, right? But at some stage, I was asking like questions about what's happening here on like, oh yes, I think it was CNC. So right, I joined CNC back with Railgun. Neon invited me because I filled a lot of hours in Railgun as well. I was like permanently in the voice chat as well and everything. So Neon invited me to CNC, and that's one of the first times where I started like realizing what sniping was and stuff like that. I think that's what brought on the conversation, right? So Daniel, who's also in CNC, gave me a link and was like, "Hey, there's people are gonna try and like snipe on this other server. If you want to help, you can join, right?" And I joined, not really knowing. I was in both servers now. First of all, I was like, "Is this allowed? Like, can I be in 2 servers?" Because I've heard some chatter around that people don't like it or whatever. And obviously, I've read rules about not leaking or whatever. It's like, no, you can stay in both. It's fine. As long as you don't like leak anything. I'm like, okay, cool. So I stayed in both, but I ended up like, I don't remember the hours I played, but in the RustPod 2 server, I switched from like room 1 and 2 the whole time, like playing with Quapsel and Frost and Cess like the whole time. I did a lot of hours in that server, and that's where I also learned about sniping mostly. So that's where I learned about Frost for the first time.
Okay, well, what's good. And Frost, again, anything you want to add in terms of, how did that experience go? We didn't actually talk about that T1 because that was your first T1, but
I haven't really talked about anything Rust event related.
Yeah, so how did that all kind of ended up? How did that transpire? It's a good transition. So how did that all kind of transpire?
Okay, so first we're gonna need to go back to the first Rust event actually, which is Rust Part 1. So back then, this is the first Rust event. So my priority back then was really just to get the Rust cards. So I got luck early, then I got player. So I had a team that could give like 80 times for 320% plus something like that. 360, I think. I forgot how much Rust Part 1 bonus is because it's different since you get like 80% per matching attribute and member back then. So a full team of cool Rust would give you like 400%. So that's how crucial the team building for that event was. So back then, me and Cess were just like playing as high as we can. We're just trying, originally aiming just for top 100 because Rust event, we like Rust. Then I roomed with Kevs and Danny. Then eventually the 4 of us were like rising in the leaderboards, and eventually all of us were in the top 10, and we're like, maybe we can maintain this until the end of the event. So from then on, we tried playing as hard as we can, like T10 hours from that point on, because our reasoning was that this is the first Rust event, guys. We need to make this active. We need to make this as high as we can. Yep. At the same time, we like seeing huge numbers every 2 minutes. Like each game back then would give you like around 20k API, if I remember correctly, something like that. So it's really nice looking at the increase in numbers. So we just went on and on, played on and on and on and on, until it came to a point where there's like 12 of us fighting for the top 10.
Oh, jeez.
This is probably one of the most interesting events that I've played, because during the event, I wasn't part of the main server. I wasn't really part. I wasn't even in pub court back then because I got the strikes for the pub villain thing a few months ago. Yeah, so I have says like, yo, go in pub court, post this room code, then let's get some people to fill for us, stuff like that. I was coordinating with Cess on how we would do the event. Then eventually we met someone in the top 10 leaderboards named F2P Ras. So I was playing with F2P Ras, and I noticed quickly like, this person is very efficient. Like he menus really fast. He refills like at the same time as us. He syncs the refills. He would intentionally drop the full combo. Something that isn't really wide. I don't know. I feel like it's not really common knowledge back then, or I don't know nowadays, because a lot of people are in the tiering service. And yeah, he's okay with like starting with less than 5 people, and the efficiency stuff that tiering servers usually do.
Yeah.
He's familiar with everything, and I talked to him like, by any chance, do you have any tiering server experience before? I DM'd F2Piras, and he was like, "Oh, this is like an experiment thing. This is not actually my main account." Then I was like, "Holy shit! I kind of remember someone chatting in PubCord, someone boomer that used the chat out of nowhere, and I couldn't remember who it was. I had to ask a PubCord mod to backtrack the the delete logs to check on who was chatting on that channel, and we found out that it was Holorin all this time. To give a brief background, Holorin is a Hello Happy World reel. Like, if I remember correctly, he did like 5 podium finishes for each member, or not really, but for in general Hello Happy World events.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Yo, this is like playing with a legend, like someone who unretired for just this event."
Yeah.
And not a lot of people knew it back then because he was just F2Piras at the leaderboard. So yeah, that was fun. And at the same time, one of the snipers that we had in the top 10 is Danny, the top 1 Summer Glow. So during this time, he had to stop playing for a while because of work. So he had to play catch up eventually. And one of the competitors that he's trying to snipe is actually, we noticed that every time we pop into this person, we would see him AP songs, like 100% AP. And given provided the uptime that he had during this event, like, it's kind of impossible that you're maintaining this level of accuracy during these hours.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then we came to the conclusion that this person was using mods or bots.
Mm-hmm.
So Danny was playing against someone who's using bots, and he's behind by like a day or two. So on the last day, I contacted Holorin, me, says Danny, and then I also included Quapsel in our group because he's the last human person competing for the top 10.
Yeah.
Other than the people already in the main tiering server.
Mm-hmm.
So the 5 of us made a Discord chat group, and there we tried to run as fast as we can from the botter. Though eventually the botter got voted, and at the same time he got banned by Lucia as well.
Wow.
So that sucks for him. He voted, he got banned.
Nice.
That was a really roller coaster of emotions back then, because there's a sniping guy, there's a unretiring wheel who played again just for this specific event. Then there's a botter we had to outrun, stuff like that. And the competition got so intense that if you don't have a 400% ban, you're most likely gonna get voted. Like, I remember someone from the main server dropped because they didn't have a really good ban to keep up with the raids everyone else is going. So yeah, that was a really fun event. I think it's one of the most interesting ones that I have had.
And then I imagine, Frost, that when you were tiering with these so-called legends, right, as you mentioned, right, these legendary people together in that event, that may have influenced your decision to maybe try for part 2, I imagine.
Okay, so after the event, we're done with part 1. Then I'm kind of looking at the part 2 titles, and I'm like, these titles look really good.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to try this one. So I talked to Zez and, let's snipe part 2. I'll make a server this time so that we don't need to rely on PubCord all the time. Then I messaged the sniping gang on part 1, like, except for Holorin, because Holorin already uninstalled. He said he's done with the game after Rust Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I contacted Danny, Quapcelses, and me. And then, like, yo, let's do this. Let's snipe. Then eventually the event came, and we tried to keep the sniping a secret as much as we can. But you know how that usually works. It doesn't really work. Like, word spreads so fast nowadays. But yeah, we tried to limit the number of people we invite. We don't tell anyone of our goals exactly. So we just wanted to snipe the event. We're not really aiming for a specific rank back then. Like, I wasn't really thinking of top 1 back then. All I was thinking was, I want to make this event really interesting. I want to snipe. I want to play as much as I can. I just want to play. I want to play for us. I want to play. So that was my thinking back then. And eventually, the 3 of us like got into the top of the leaderboards, and then we just talked to like, who wants to get T1? Are you fine with getting this title? Okay, are you fine with getting this title? Okay, okay. This is the event then. The funny thing in this event, if I would recall correctly, like, I was trying to subtly recruit top 10 runners because my logic most of the time when running for an event is that the top 10 runners would usually be your most consistent fillers.
Mm-hmm.
Because most chances are they would play as much as you would need to, like as much as the podium runners would need. So if I want to run for an event, first of all, I would need to assemble like a good set of T10 runners. So one of the players I have tried to reach out to was Goon. And I remember the conversation going like, yo, are you planning for top 10 on this event? Like that. So Goon said like, yeah, I'm planning for this event. They want me to invite you to this server. I'm part of this person's roster.
Oh.
Then I'm like, okay, I can't invite you to my roster now. I'm like, oh, okay. Actually, I'm still thinking about it. Maybe if I get good gacha, maybe I'll try to run for it. But back in my mind, I have a spark ready. I'm ready to spark this event. I'm ready to run for this event.
Oh,
but
boy.
I can't really exactly tell them that we're competing because I want this to be a snipe. I want this event to be like, as one of my mods have mentioned, like, because there was a point where I'm contemplating if I want to make the server public or if I still want to remain kind of low key.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my mods said that just keep it low key because the other server won't be prepared for your attack. So it's kind of like, they said that it's kind of like a psychological thing. So you would have an advantage because you would know that you're planning to snipe then. And back then, we didn't know that the roster for the other server actually were just gone.
Mm.
So we could have probably just invited Goon anyway to our roster and stuff would not change. But I didn't know that information, so we went through the event like that, and it was really fun. We came to a point where we were avoiding A to Z because of the. No, I just hate A to Z in general. But yeah, in addition to hating playing the song, there is a band XP bug with the song. Like, you're not getting as much band XP when compared to playing the new songs.
Mm-hmm.
Though at that point, I didn't really care that much for band XP because rank 50 wasn't, if I remember correctly, rank 50 wasn't announced yet in JP.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just didn't want to play A to Z, so we had to play. I think we played Kasabota for a lot of for a long time in the room.
I flameless T100 that event.
Yeah. Sini was one of our most consistent fillers back then. Mm. So this is the time where we first interacted, and Sini was really fun to have in the server because he would always be supportive of everything happening in the server. Like, if G2 needs a filler, like one of our T10 runners, since eventually we had 6 T10 runners, Caster and Nakoya eventually joined our roster.
Mm-hmm.
So someone had to leave the G1 and go to G2. So Sini would always be there to fill for it. And most of the time, it's Sini and Quap vibing in the G2, playing whatever songs they like, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well,
so yeah, that's how part 2 happened.
it seemed like a pretty, relatively smooth sailing T1 then at the end.
Yeah, actually, I spent more in getting a power layer than the
actual event. Fair.
refills that I had. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think I spent like since I spark layer, it's like 75,000 for gacha, around that. Probably more or less, since I did more dailies and stuff. Yeah. And then the amount of resources I spent on refills was actually around only 40,000 stars.
Well, only 40,000 stars.
Yeah. And one of the reasons for this is that this is the first event that got shortened in EN.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right.
The event duration was only 5 days. Yes. So shorter event means shorter time to play, means shorter resources needed to tier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that again, what a really cool story to get your first T1 and like just be able to share a lot of unique insight on various parts of the tiering. So big props to you that on that, Frost, for sure. That's quite cool. So in the interest of time, we're going to briefly talk about a little bit about your recent experience together, because Little Rose Harmony is a recent event that just happened. Frost, you got another first place, where Sini, you got your first podium in that event. So maybe the two of you, jump in at any point, but maybe the two of you talk about how did that planning for that event go? Going for Little Rose Harmony, how did you two end up planning to go for that event? How did you two work together to make that event happen and get your titles together?
Okay, so I'm not 100% sure about how the roster was made initially, but when I initially joined the game, like all of the new Russ and all the new character events were starting to like come out and being announced, and obviously I decided to join Halloween. I was going to T100 that, but I actually thought about maybe like what if in the future I can, because like I said, I came from a League of Legends background and competitive playing, so I don't want to necessarily mess around. I was thinking about what can I do like the best in this game type thing, and I thought, well, I really would like to top 10 that. I didn't initially think any podium or anything like that. So there was initially a server created, but it almost immediately merged with House of Wales, and they already had a lot of people on the roster on their side as well, and they merged. So when I asked, they immediately said roster was capped. And at that stage, not immediately, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to top 100 this. But as the time got closer, and especially after my Rockaween 4th place, I was like, I'm going to go as hard as I can on Little Rose, and I'm going to snipe it. That after I did Rust Part 2, I got a lot of experience with sniping. I've helped Tidal Idol. I've helped Stu get his place in sniping, and I've helped in the Fan Road snipes. I've helped a fair bit of people. I helped Mel recently in Harmony and Change. So I think I've had a bit of experience, but I was like, if they don't want to put me on the roster, because they said it was capped, right? But they'll let me know if there's a spot. So I was 100% going to snipe that event. I don't know how high I would have gotten, even if it was just the top 10. That was my plans. And then not too long ago, just before Fan Road, Vladimir Lemon messaged me and said they were going to drop the podium for that event, and if I wanted this spot. And, well, obviously very hit off my feet. I was going to snipe it, and then suddenly I get offered a podium spot. And I didn't have the most amazing team pre-gacha, because I didn't get Mashiro. So that's a 1-star you have to tier with post.
What do you mean your team is a lot better than us?
Yeah, but you see, that's after I did Gacha Frost, because I was gonna wail for Roka this time. Yeah, I wasn't going to because I didn't get Roka for lock on during From the Past, and I didn't get the first Roka on Rust Part 1 either, even though I got pretty close to Spark for both of them. Rust Part 1, I literally didn't have a choice because I already spent a bit of money on the game, and it was literally all of my free stars I saved up since I started playing the game in January. I spent everything and burned all my cans to get my T100 and get no lock. So, and that T100 was expensive as far as I'm concerned, because even if you like went to more or less the cutoff at the end, the last 30 minutes of that event was the hugest T100 Nyom I've seen in my life, I think. At one stage, we were like, I think 60th, and within like 5 to 10 minutes, we were like 90th. We were like almost boated. It was very fast. So we meet Crimson and Rainbow, I think, made like a quick lobby and got back. But anyways, going off topic. Yeah, so that's how I got into that event. And then closer to the event recently, another podium dropped, and Frost also had the option to, like, I don't know if he wants to take over on this part of the story.
Okay, so I was part of the podium roster in ZP server. So ZP server was the one that is in the House of Wales. So I have decided to podium this event because I wanted like a podium title for each of the members of RAS. So, and initially I already planned to go for top 10 for this event with Collie. However, unfortunately, he wasn't able to play anymore because of studies. We were kind of memeing this event because Mashiro is like one of my least favorite girls. Then Collie had Chutu as one of his least favorite girls. So we wanted to do this because it has both Mashiro and Chutu at the same time. So we were kind of memeing like, it's gonna be dead. JP T10 was dead. It's gonna be dead on EN. So we're gonna go for top 10. But unfortunately, he wasn't able to play at all. Then I was part of ZP's roster, and I was already considering dropping for the event because I tried putting for DF Chutu, which is like one event before this Little Rose. And I kinda overspent a little bit on Gacha again.
Usual Frost thing.
So I was already considering of dropping the event because I'm still saving for a future event, and this might impact my resources. And then when I was about to message, I'm already talking to Sini that, yo, I might drop this event. You might go for, you can go for T2 if I drop this event, stuff like that. When I was about to message Zippy, she actually pinged all her runners in the server and said that she didn't get Shooter in the DF banner, and because of that, they need to drop the event. So back then I was like, okay, there's an opportunity for a D1. am I gonna pick this up? But I'm probably gonna spend a bit for the T1 title. But then again, it's another T1 title, and I don't know. I kind of want it. So I messaged Sini again that, okay, change of plans. Would you like to use the Raspartu server to cheer this event? Okay. I'm gonna try to contact other people who might be interested in going for T10, and I'll also tell ZP to announce in the server that, okay, the server will move from this server to the Raspartu server, and those interested in going for T10 can DM me. So I messaged some of the people, the RAS fans that I know who kind of tier impulsively, like Riley, Dia, Goon. I DM each of them asking, yo, wanna be part of my T10 roster, stuff like that. Like, this is happening like one or two events
like a week before,
yeah. So I'm kind of in a rush of looking for runners because, like I mentioned before, like the most important part of your server is probably gonna be your T10 runners. You can have a server with almost no fillers, but you can rely on your T10 runners most of the time, unless T10 is that dead.
Yeah.
So that's the philosophy I'm going with. That's why I always want to recruit good T10 runners. So eventually, Dia dropped. Gun said doesn't want to play. So, and fortunately, two newcomers approached me and said they're interested in going for the event. So I went through like the basic efficiency rules and told them, okay, you're gonna be my runner, but follow these rules. Okay, you're gonna be my runner, do this, do that when the event starts. Then yeah, that's how the roster got formed.
Wow. That's quite cool. Again, it's like really interesting to see a different perspective where, an event was supposed to happen and we already have like everything all kind of set up, but then like the initial runner dropped. So then like, people are kind of scrambling to find like, oh, okay, well, I guess we have to try and find a second plan and make sure like something's built. And otherwise it's just going to be a huge pub fest and it's not the most fun. But
Well, to be fair, pub fest is actually fun in itself. Like I've seen an event before, like Eve June Bride, if you remember correctly. Like most of the people there played only on pubs because the only server going for it is kind of small and is lacking in fillers. So eventually, everyone just played pub core throughout the majority of the event. But yeah, that's a different thing. But playing in a server is also quite nice. This is also the first event where I had the idea of trying to stream it in Twitch. Like, I think this is an interesting stream, like showing people how going for a podium run feels like. Yeah, and from that point on, they dubbed me as the scuffed streamer because everything is scuffed in my stream.
That's fair. But again, all three of us are actually streamers, so it's pretty neat to see that perspective. Maybe one day we'll all join together and stream a tiering session. Maybe we'll see.
I continue my thing of filling wall in a T10 plus though. I played I think until the second last day. And then the last million EP, I did flameless. I put on carry team as well, and then helped other people who needed help.
The event was so that there was a point where everyone in the top 10 roster was just chilling around. Like I was using a power RAS team just to increase my band XP. Then Sini was doing flameless carrying in the lobby.
Yeah, but again, I think overall, though, it wasn't like a last minute kind of plan. But I think with both of you, with your experience in tiering in various different backgrounds, and again, the fact that you two eventually knew each other and knew how tiering works, it was a pretty smooth sailing event overall. I'd imagine it's probably one of the more relaxing titles the two of you got, despite being like 1 and 2. It sounds really nice, but it's probably one of the more relaxing events.
Yeah, if you would check the records for the top 10 EP throughout the EN history, like this T1 is like ranking 3rd to the last for live goals. Then the other podium spots are like last.
Oh jeez.
It's like the cheapest one, I guess. Cheapest live goals podium. I mean, it's still fun. Like Sini did play a lot, even despite having low total EP.
The one night I had nightmares. I was gonna sleep a full night, and I don't know what. I've been also, because I work night shift in South African time. I sort of have an American time zone still, but at that specific day, I wanted to have normal sleeping hours, so I went to sleep while it was dark, which I never do. And I woke up like an hour later with horrible zombie nightmares. Not even lying. You can ask the people in the server. Vividly remember them even. So I couldn't sleep further. I just got up after having only like 1 hour of sleep. And by the way, I also went for a work interview that day as well while I had T2. But I got no sleep. Went to the work interview, played the whole day, tried to get some sleep, got no sleep, wake up again. And I was like, I'm going to just tier again.
Oh, man.
It was horrible, but that's what happens when you have bad sleep schedules and then come from work and try to tier.
Yeah. Again,
at least the interview went well.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. I always
Sini had.
no, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying that at that time, Sini also had a job interview back then, so he had to manage like sleep, tearing, preparing for the interview, and tearing again.
Yeah.
So it was really impressive how Sini did this podium. He was also majority of the support that we had was because of him. Like if he filled for these people, and because of that, he was able to invite them to the server. And he was also the one, I think, who contributed a lot to modding the server while we were tiering. And on top of that, he was also carrying the other runners in the server. Like, not even necessarily top 10 runners. He was carrying, like, the Flameless T50 gang with his carry team.
Yeah.
And if you check his graph in Bandori, actually, you would see the tiny steps of the Flameless games that he did. So, yeah. Everything he did was just impressive for that event.
Wow.
I actually, because of the disappointment of RustyP1 not getting Roka and almost being boated and having literally no cans or stars left on my account, I was very demotivated to play the game up until Railgun. And then Neon, well, I got invited. I think I was in the server at that stage, but at that stage I was just going to like T1K that event as well. But I don't know, something about a Toto and Neon got me fired up that event again, and from there I was very motivated to play again.
Yeah, for sure. Well, honestly, again, I think I always like make it sound like it's easy, but as you can see, there's a lot of things that are balancing, right? You're balancing, like, you're possibly balancing work, balancing possibly helping other people, balancing, moderating the server as well. So, I mentioned, it kind of, I might make it sound like it was pretty easy, but again, it required a lot of hard work from both of you. So big congrats onto both of you on that achievement. It's great to hear that you were able to achieve those titles, even with such short prep time, the fact that you were able to do it. And make it almost sound easy, but again, it wasn't easy. But again, big props to you two. It was a really good, earned job of getting a well-deserved title recently.
Yeah, I have a very supportive nature when it comes to stuff like that. So Maddie was struggling on third place because she was feeling very sick. And I haven't played a lot at that stage. I wasn't very secured, I would say. And for about 4 or 5 hours, I switched to my carry team anyways. I was like, you're not feeling well, so I'm going to stay up and help you a bit, So I always try to put other people first when it comes to tiering and helping.
Good guy, Sini. Yep, good guy, Sini. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good.
Also, it doesn't help that I am the type of person who would like compute for the worst case scenario and let the people know in my roster, like, yo, if someone snipe with this rate, they will catch up to you in just this amount of hours, and I would kind of like scare my runners for them to kind of play or stuff like that, just to be aware that sniping is still possible. But then again, it was a smooth sailing event. Yeah, fortunately,
it's kind of funny. It's like it's a little bit of like different personality. Like what Wolf City kind of feels like a hero in a sense. Frost, you definitely have a villain vibe. So it's like pretty funny to see that both of you are like working together in the same event. It's pretty funny.
Okay, so this is one of the thing that drew me to Ras. Actually, like of all the bands in the game, like Ras gives off like the most villain vibes. Like. They have this cool personas, and then their aesthetics, like you could imagine them like with glowing eyes and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Well,
I'm a Poppy Puff fan, by the
way. So true. Yeah. Okay, so again, both of you, thank you so much for taking the time to share that experience. And just before we go, and before I let you go in the studio, I asked every week in the podcast, I always ask my studio question to my Discord server members, where we discuss a really cool, interesting discussion about a particular question. And I had some of our members answer this question, and all their answers will be shown in the video on YouTube. I'll ask the question very briefly to you two as well. And the question was, what is your favorite event type to tier? So VS Live, Challenge Live, Mission Live, all that stuff. Like, maybe briefly answer, like ask me, what is your favorite mission, live type and why?
I always preach about this everywhere I go. The best event type is versus live.
Agreed.
I was actually just talking about this in Popcorn like a few minutes ago. And I listed down several points on why versus live is the best event. So first is in terms of pubbing, you don't have to care if the pubs DC or die. Like they can die whatever they want. They can do whatever they want as long as you have locked in your song. You're good to go. And that's the second thing as well. They can't dodge your song picks. I can pick Savior of Song every day, all day on Versus Live, and no one can do anything about it. Yep. And with the recent update, if you disconnect, like in the mid game, like for example, you got a battery notif, you got disconnected, the reduction in event points is not that much because you will only lose placement points. You will still get the full EP for completing the whole song. So placement points is like around 30 EP difference. Like first place gets 60, fifth place gets fifth. If you DC, you're automatically fifth. So you lose 30 EP times 15 flames on 3 flames. So it's like 450 EP lost if you accidentally disconnect in a live, which isn't that bad, to be honest. Then you also get free cans. Like you convert your natural regen flames into Marina box cans. And if you're tiering high, you don't need to have like 4 or 5 people. You just need one more person to room with you. You can start the room with just the 2 of you and get 4th place because you would only lose like 26 EP, something like that. So it isn't that bad versus risking a pub with anti-meta song. Yeah. So you're better off with just going for A to Z with 2 people, A to Z with 2 people. So this goes to that. And finally, the best part about Versus Live is that you get to stomp on pubs because I really, really want to get the revenge on bad pubs. That's the main reason why I made the pub villain persona back then, because I'm tired of bad pubs.
I love how you had like almost like a thorough essay and thesis already to explain your answer for this question.
Because I always talk to people about this. Versus Live is the best event type. Tier it. But yeah, things will change when the new EP formula in JP comes, but that's a discussion for another day, I guess.
Yeah.
I agree with everything Frost said. Plus, Mission Live is very crappy to park. I hate it so much. It's worse than VS Live. At least I control my friends a little bit by asking them to room with me to park. But Mission Live, no. I mean, even you struggled, Phil, and you made the document on it. Yeah.
My first time trying to park with Mission Live was RAS Part 1, and if you see my EP there, it's 39,999,999. I originally intended to go for flat 40 million, but I messed up somewhere and I didn't have much time to play again, so I just, you know what? This is intended. This part is completely intended.
So true. Yeah. But honestly, it's hard not to argue. It's hard to argue the VS Live. There's a lot of great advantages of it compared to other lives, and of course, there's going to be new lives entering the game soon with medley lives, team lives. We'll see how those go when they get added. But again, if anyone, the listeners out there or viewers out there, want to contribute to maybe the reason why you like maybe challenge lives or mission lives, let us know. In the comments below.
Yeah, I would say one thing fun about Challenge Live is if you're just watching the top 10 race and you see someone sniping from behind, because I see this a lot of times where a random pub goes for T10 and they think that they're already safe. Then an experienced tier suddenly goes up and boats them last minute. So that's the fun thing about Challenge Live, I guess.
Challenge Live is a good spectacle kind of event to see, but not so much to tier yourself.
Yeah. It's stressful, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah. And I imagine stuff like, Team Live and Medley Live is going to be really interesting to watch as well in the future. Yeah. All right. Well, again, for both of our special guests, thank you all so much for taking the time to join us today in the studio. Our set was a little longer than expected. We might have hit some pub anti-meta songs in the middle, right? But just before we go, maybe for both of you, just briefly give any shout outs or where we could follow you, and also maybe any future events that you may plan on doing if you want to share them. You don't have to share them if you don't want to. But Sini, we'll start with you. Maybe, shout outs, where we could follow you, and future events that you may want to share.
Shout out to the people, by the way, because it's always hard to get help in PubCourt. So shout out to the people who helped me in the beginning. Obviously, I mentioned Lang before, and people who took me under their wings in different kinds of servers like CNC community server. And also Frost, obviously, from RePHIL. It's been great playing with Frost and transitioning into that. He'll tell you if there's any events that people can come. But yeah, I've been enjoying the RePHIL server, even though the event's long gone. It's been a very great hangout place for us fans and Bang Dream players in general. I think that's sort of become a little bit community server recently, anyway. Yeah. But following, I'm on almost every social platform as SinisterSmiley. If you've known me from anything back from 2013 as SinisterSmiley, it's probably me.
Okay. And any future events? Is there something you plan on in the future? Is that anything you want to disclose, or?
I only have some. Yeah, I'm doing the same as Frost at the moment, so he can say if he wants to. He's the boss. He can say if he wants to.
I think it's pretty public information nowadays, because I would get like DMs here and there saying that, "Yo, I want to tier this event. Mind if I join your server?" I mean, yeah, sure. How are you going? Do you have experience prior to this tiering server? So yeah, I think we can announce that we're actually going for Summer Ras. So I believe that event is gonna be pretty competitive, and I'm expecting it to be a fun event for everyone.
All right.
So yeah, and shout out. So first of all, I would like to thank Phil for inviting us. Thank you for all the listeners for enduring my 2-hour rambling, I guess.
All good.
And to the people who have always supported me throughout my whole Bandori journey, like from different servers, like from NTR, like we named the server NTR because it's like no to this person. The person's name starts with an R, so we thought it was just a fun name. So there's Simpcord, there's the RAS Part 2 server, Says, Quap, Sini, Danny, Caster, and everyone in the server. I wouldn't be able to have this much fun in the event without these people. And for my socials, mostly you can find me on Twitch, FrostPH _ if you want to watch some scuffed streams. Go ahead. I also have Twitter, FrostPH _ I think.
Yeah, for sure.
But I rarely tweet nowadays, but I'll try to use the platform again as much as I can. Then I also have a YouTube channel which doesn't really have anything at the moment, but I plan to make videos soon, mostly related to Bandori, I guess, which is FrostPH, just FrostPH. And yeah, the icon is like the guy with the hood with no face, because I'm a weeb like that. I don't like to show my face that much.
Well, that's fair. Again, both of you, thank you all so much for taking the time to join the studio today. And again, all your socials will be in the description of this video below. So again, for our listeners out there, want to maybe follow our guests and be able to interact with them and maybe even help them in their future goals. Definitely check them out below. This will conclude our set. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the RePHIL Studio. Our set has been complete. Make sure you play your VS Live so you can get your cans ready and we can refill to the next set when that time comes. But until then, thank you all so much for listening. Of course, RePHIL Studio is on all of your favorite podcast platforms. And of course, don't forget to join the Academy Discord server to contribute to the studio question and interact with our special guests featured on this podcast. So take care, everyone. We'll see you all in the next set. Bye-bye, everyone.
Otskare.
Cheerio.